to add to the wall full of plaques, hanging up in the office and back of my house like trophies.
Got this.
Y'all think I'ma let my dough freeze? Hold please, you better bow down on both knees. Who you think
What's up, everyone? Hello. Welcome to the next episode of. That should have been a good one. Huh? We should start with the next episode, huh? That's really what we should have done. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Set Connects. This is our second episode here live from the TGN Latinx station. Still trying to get the kinks down, but we're moving right along. Want to welcome everybody to listening in. Make sure if you guys are tuning in on the TGN Latinx app, check us out in the chat room. Also, if you're checking us out through YouTube, hit us up on the YouTube chat line. We also have the phone number there on the ticker there, so give us a call if you guys want to tune in. We're Set Connects, Cannabis Entrepreneurial Dialogues. I'm your host, Danny. Sitting next to me is B, and our mission is to create spaces for people and brands of color to elevate their voices and educate and empower our communities through storytelling and sharing experiences. I'm excited about today. What's up, B? How are you?
What's up?
That's it. That's all you got for me. What's up,
man?
I'm excited today. We got a bunch of announcements to make from our first episode. But first, let's get into these sponsors. Let us know what's up with the sponsors.
Wow, we got Adore LA. Adore LA is a faith-based community. They create space for queer, POC, and marginalized communities. Yeah, it's just a community for everybody to gather. And they have an event coming up November 1st. So definitely check them out at Adore LA. You can find them on Instagram and Facebook. So we thank you, Adore, for always supporting us.
Yeah, I love Adore. I love it. And our other sponsor that we have is La Familia, which they actually hooked us up today. We have some chocolates here that they hooked us up with. I'll post them up here, but I'm pretty excited just to have this here. But La Familia, they are the first Mexican cannabis brand here in LA, and you can find their products all throughout the state. They have some amazing chocolates. They have drinks as well. They got like mazapan, hot chocolate, horchata, some great products out there. They're definitely creating brands for the culture and the Mexican culture with these types of flavors. And I just saw that they're also collaborating with cookies with their brand with Agua de Flor. So shout out to those guys. All the work that they're doing. You can find them at different cookie shops, Dizzy's, March and Ash, all throughout California. If you want any more info, check them out on their Instagram. You can also find them through our page as well. But definitely check those guys out. B, so how was your week last week after our first episode?
Pretty good, man. It was like a high, within itself. Like I got a lot of people hitting me up and saying, "Yo, like I learned a lot of stuff," and I had that conversation with you, like that. To us, we've kind of heard of these stories over and over, but the fact is that we take some stuff for granted, like some knowledge, that people are always willing to share with us. So that was pretty dope.
Yeah, for sure. I had the same experience. We got the chat lines already popping on YouTube. What's up, guys? Hey, Julia. What's up, mama? And baby D. Hey, Dali. How are you, mommy? I see you. I miss you. And we're gonna get into that. My week was crazy after the first episode. I definitely got a lot of phone calls and messages just shouting us out, and had a busy weekend.
Yeah,
I had a big weekend actually.
Yeah, you had a big one.
Yeah, we had our family had a gender reveal. We're having our third baby, and
congratulations, my friend.
Thank you. And I got the blessing from my partner Julia to be able to make this announcement for any family members that are watching live right now or later on. So I did get the blessing, and we had this gender reveal, and for one, well, we weren't really planning on having a gender reveal. It wasn't something that we wanted to do. This really came from our oldest daughter, our 12-year-old, who wanted to have it because we're not big on the whole, you know, gender norms and the whole blue and pink like we kind of discussed before air. So we wanted to find out ways to be a little more creative. And so what we thought of was nuts or no nuts. If it's a boy, we got nuts. If it's not, there's no nuts. And we ended up having cake pops. Shout out to Julia's sister for hooking us up with those cake pops. But yeah, ended up so the final reveal is we're having a girl. We're having another girl. So I got 3 girls
That's the
on the
third.
way. It's the 3rd girl. That's it. We're done though.
Yeah.
No trying for boys or nothing like that. We are straight. But shout out to and for everyone that knows me personally, anyway, if you guys have listened to the episode in the past, I always talk about my girls. I always bring them up. So I'm excited. We're definitely excited. You guys look nervous over there.
What's the due date? When did you do?
I need you to get closer to that mic, brother.
Oh yeah. When are you guys due? Sorry about that. I forgot about the mic.
You know what? What's crazy? So my second born, her birthday is on March 16th, which is my Stone Cold baby.
That's right.
316. For all you wrestling fans out there, I got a little Stone Cold baby, 316. But she's actually due on 316 as well.
Really?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
it is. It's insane. It's freaking insane.
Wow.
But we'll see because originally with the first baby, her original due date was, I believe, March 12th or 13th. But we went into the hospital on a Thursday and she didn't come till Saturday. So we'll see.
It's a true guesstimate, anyways.
Right.
of-
Yeah.
Right. We don't know, but still. But yeah,
Congratulations again, my friend.
Thank
That's
you.
Great news.
hell yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah.
But let's get into this. I'm excited to have these guests here. I don't think the 4 of us have been in the same room since I want to say March, right?
April.
March,
yeah,
April.
Drew was there.
Yeah, it was April for me.
April. So it's been a minute since we've all been together in the same room. And you know, I'm definitely just excited to have you two here just because when I first got into the industry, into at least distribution and manufacturing, you guys were the first 2 that I met, right? And really
Yeah.
interacted with. And I know that you guys have been working in the game for a minute and started something damn near from scratch on up. And I definitely learned a lot from you guys. So I wanted to have you guys here to be able to have this conversation of, you know, what it takes to start up a cannabis brand in, you know, company, whatever the case is, for any of our listeners that are either interested in going to the industry in any capacity, but also for the consumers maybe that to also understand what it takes, what actually goes on behind the scenes. If there's any of those consumers that, you know, are definitely interested in who they're supporting and figuring out who, you know, what it is, what's the backstory, and how can they truly support, whether it's small brands and things of that nature. I think having this conversation is definitely important. So I want to thank you guys for being here. We got Josh and Dru in the house. What's up, guys?
What's up?
What's up, Danny? What's up, Pete? Yeah, of course. Just real quick, wanted to clarify. It was not our company.
No, right,
It was
for
just
sure.
something that we were a part of, and that, you know, it was our hands that took it from nothing to something. Because unfortunately, one of the main things you need to operate in this climate is lots of money.
Yeah,
Lots and lots of money.
and we'll definitely get into that.
Yeah.
B, you got anything? You know, I'm just gonna call you on the spot, B.
Hey, we talked about this. Yeah.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm excited to be here, excited to talk about cannabis. I think any education on the topic, let it be licensing, the plant, all beneficial. If you're in the industry, if you're not, that's all we're really trying to do is get better ourselves and educate and help other people understand, you know, what we did and what it takes to really get there. So
Yeah.
thank you for inviting me.
Man, I'm happy to just see you guys.
Yeah, it's good to see you guys.
Yeah,
It has
definitely.
been a minute.
I'm really happy to see you guys.
We just need a long corridor to yell at each other. What did you say?
That's true. That's true. So let's get into this, guys. So I'll start off with Drew. Drew, what was your upbringing like in relationship to cannabis? What was that growing up for you? And where are you from?
I'm from Garden City, Michigan. Lived in Michigan for 32 years. My upbringing with cannabis, honestly, I didn't smoke weed at all throughout high school. I played sports. I was on golf, tennis, everything like that. Straight arrow, had a bedtime till I was a senior in high school, 10:30 every night, go to bed. Nothing good happens after 10:30. So really my first was senior spring break, and then moving away for college. And once I got away at college, I branched out into selling, smoking in that regard. And so it, that's where my love for cannabis started, was college, more or less. I didn't have parents around me at all the time, so I could, smoke in my living room and not get yelled at for it.
What was that relationship like with your parents? Like, were they accepting of it at first, or what was that dynamic like?
At first, they weren't. I remember my freshman year, I'm living out on campus. My dad calls me, wants to go to an Eastern Michigan basketball game. I think it's all fun and games, gets to halftime, and my dad all of a sudden asked me if I had been smoking cannabis at the basketball game. So it was a bit nerve-wracking at that point. But overall, they were pretty good with it. They had used coming up. My dad and mom had both used, and to be honest, had sold back in the day. I mean, it was a different time to what they did. And so they were pretty okay with it. I wasn't too reckless, so I didn't get in too much trouble. So they were pretty cool with it.
So, what about you, Josh?
My upbringing with cannabis was not great. Because even though my family, they definitely partied when they were younger, for some reason, I don't know why, and we never really talked about it. They, I don't know, they always just took the side of like what the rules are or what the law is. Because in high school, I got busted with weed like maybe 10 times. And each time as a minor, you get in trouble, you go to court and your parents have to talk to the judge, not you. It's like your parents, the one that's getting in trouble. So that sucks, just you feel really guilty about that. And that was basically our introduction to them knowing I was smoking. I didn't get caught by them. I got caught by the school, and obviously they get involved. And I don't know if that like ruined it and turned it into something that we couldn't really talk about, honestly. Whatever it was, they thought it was a terrible, terrible thing. Did not want to talk about it other than you cannot do that. But after high school, the mentality like totally switched, kind of along with the state and society. Weed was on its way to becoming legalized every year. Every couple years, it was one step closer to recreational adult use. But then it became something that it's kind of unspoken, but we both knew that we smoked. It's just we didn't do it publicly or didn't really talk about it. And then entering the cannabis industry, working in it, now it's just a totally non-issue. It's on the same level as alcohol. We can talk about it. We can talk about the industry. We can talk about what's going on out there.
Yeah.
And, yeah, because it's an interesting topic, especially, they see on the news all the money going into it, and knowing that I'm in it now, they want to talk about it, which is interesting.
Yeah, for sure. And so, have you always been out here in LA?
Yeah, pretty much. For a few years, my family lived in upstate New York, but yeah, born and raised in Whittier, California. Went to high school in Orange County. Yeah, but mostly
LA.
All right. And how did you get out here to LA?
I got lucky. As I said, I'm from Garden City, Michigan.
Yeah.
My best friend had moved out here years before. Worked in dispensaries, tried to get into the door at a couple places. He was actually the first employee with the company, and he called me. I was a recruiter. I was a mortgage banker, then an IT recruiter, and then I did logistics recruiting.
Okay.
Dom called me one day and said they needed help. Someone quit, and we need you out in California as soon as possible. This was always a joke between us before, come out to California. I wasn't too keen on it, but when he called me, the owner was on the phone. Everything I knew, it was a different tone of come out here. Like it was kind of do it now or don't do it ever. And so that night we went out and we went to dinner, and I talked to my parents about it. They were not too accepting in the beginning, as I lived at home for 32 years. I'm an only child. But surprisingly, as it's gone on, it's turned into they're super proud of it. They're super excited about it. But yeah, my best friend was the first one in the company, and I put my 2 weeks notice in, moved my house in 3 weeks. I packed everything up, and I lived on my best friend's couch for probably like 2-3 months, and best decision ever.
Dope.
Yeah.
Dope.
Would
Wait.
you move?
Would I move?
Yeah. Pick up everything and go.
It sounds scary. But yeah, I think I would have if I was in the same boat. I think so.
It's scary in the intro, like when you first think about it, but then you like at this point now looking back, I couldn't stand my other jobs.
Yeah.
So to do something that you love, would you move across the country? It comes down to the question, like, do you, a dream job to work in cannabis comes across your desk to be one of the, original members. It's hard to say no. And I didn't truly want to come to California. It wasn't my main goal, but like I said, best decision ever. It made it easier.
And it's crazy to even think like when people have this thought of like work in the cannabis industry, like I at least the experience I've had from people is, oh, so what, you like smoke all day? Like, you guys just do all this all day?
Hell no.
It's nowhere near. I mean,
that's everybody thinks that. I mean, even me when I came out here that was an appealing piece because in your brain, but then you go to think of alcohol, you don't get to drink a Budweiser on break.
Site, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, we'll get to that, but because I know we.
Yeah. I mean, I'm born and raised here in LA, and even when I got the call, Danny called me and he's like, "Hey, man, we need extra hands. Like, you're up for it?" And I'm just like, I don't know. I'm kind of comfortable where I'm at. And so that went by. Then you hit up again. And you're like, "Hey, man, we really need some hands." And I was like, cannabis doesn't sound too bad. And you think about all that, you think it's going to be good and everything. You get there and you're like, fuck, I really got to work.
Yeah.
Like, put your head down and work, man.
I mean, it is for the most part, a lot of times just a normal job.
Yeah.
Like putting in work. But also just what I loved is the culture, like going to different shops, interacting with different companies, whether it be a testing lab or another distributor. It's just, you deal with a lot of people that are pretty much cut from the same cloth, even though they could be from a totally different state, part of the world. It's just this industry attracts usually down to earth, rational people.
I don't know. I mean,
maybe in the background, maybe not in the sales.
I don't know. We'll get into that because we definitely encountered a few.
There's a couple.
Different.
I'm talking
couple.
distro, not sales.
It doesn't matter, even in that, man. But
It's just business.
before we get into the the nitty gritty of things, I do want to just touch on a few things for the listeners in terms of what does it really take to even get into the industry, and what the biggest things, at least in the legal game, is obtaining or having some type of license, right, to be able to just do things legally, right? We're in a legal state now, recreationally and medically, and some of the things that folks need to know is like the different types of licenses, right? And so we have cultivation licenses, right, that essentially are just farms, right? There's indoor farms and outdoor farms, and then there's also manufacturing types of licenses, which we're going to dive a little deeper into with this conversation. There's distribution, where the distribution piece again is something that we're going to talk about a little later in terms of what it means to have a distribution license and all the and all the nuances behind it. But other licenses that are out there, there's testing licenses, there's retail licenses out there, which are the storefronts, which are like your traditional, dispensaries. Then there's also delivery licenses that is straight to consumer. So you got all those different licenses out there, and even event licenses, right? You don't necessarily have to touch the plant to even be a part of this industry. If you are working under an event license, you can organize different, events. You can have little pop-ups here and there, and be the organizer of different parties or whatever the case is, and still be a part of this multi-million dollar going on billion-dollar industry. And so I think understanding these small pieces is important, for at least for our listeners, to know that you don't necessarily have to be a connoisseur. You don't necessarily have to, be in this quote unquote game to be in the industry. Like, there's a bunch of different avenues to be a part of it.
Absolutely.
And so just, and we're, as the show, as this episode, as we continue to roll out more episodes, we're definitely going to be touching on a few things. And for the listeners that are tuning in, if you have questions, now's the time. If you guys want to type in any questions on the chat line, I see that on the chat line, we got Keith saying same thing.
Yeah, he has a third one.
Okay. Same thing happened to me with, if I have a third little bro. Oh, yes, a third one. Absolutely. And congrats on the baby girl. Thank you, Keith. I appreciate that. But yeah, if anyone's listening in, feel free to either give us a call. If you have questions, now's the time.
Yeah, we got Sheila also. Sheila Gomez saying hi. So hi.
Hi, Sheila.
Hi, Mom. That's my mom. All right. So before we get into what the conversation between us and how we all got into it, I want to get a little personal with you guys. So Josh, you ready for this, Josh? So I don't know if any of our listeners love watching car chases. But I do. I remember that I used to love watching car chases. And I know that I heard, word on the street is that you've had an experience with a car chase, right?
Yeah.
Kind of?
Yeah,
Just a little? There's some type of experience, right?
I was connected to one, yes.
Yeah, you were connected to a. Yeah, I know. And so I definitely want to hear about that. But before we get into that, got a quick little commercial break that we got to get into. So last week we announced that we have a big partner, Grassdoor. So Grassdoor is one of the largest cannabis delivery services in California. And we just talked about this, right? There's those delivery licenses. You guys can, for our listeners that are tuning in, if you guys want to go ahead and get your cannabis delivered to you within the next 45 minutes, go ahead, visit grassdoor.com and use said connects at the checkout to receive 20% off your first 3 orders. And a said connects at checkout, and you'll get 20% off your first 3 orders. So that's a dope deal. I've tried delivery services, and I personally love delivery services just because I don't have to get out anywhere, right? Just order it and it comes right to my door like a pizza. Actually, you can order both at the same time, right? Order my pizza.
Weed and pizza. It's a great combination.
Always.
I forget, do they service all of LA County?
They're starting to, yeah.
Okay,
From what
cool.
I heard, yeah, all of LA now. They're in Orange County, San Diego,
Nice.
Inland Empire, and even in the Bay too. They're in the Bay now, San Francisco, Oakland, San Jose. So wherever you're listening, at least in the state of California, you can get your weed delivered to you. And if you're listening from out of state, if you guys any out of state delivery service, hit us up and we can shout you guys out too.
I just did it for the first time ever, got delivery weed
How was that?
2 days ago. It was great. Like you said, I didn't have to go anywhere. The guy was super friendly, pulled up. It was a great little transaction. I'm usually the person that goes to a dispensary. It's just what I've always done since I come out here, but I figured I'd try it out, and I'm going to try it out again.
Yeah, you said connects next time.
Yeah, I will.
There you go. Get your discount. Might as well. At least first three
Times.
Three times. That's exciting, at least for me. But Josh, talk to me, man. Tell me talk to me about that connection. Oh, did I do something?
Man.
No,
Good?
we're good. I think we're good.
Yeah. Man, this is kind of embarrassing. It's super embarrassing. Probably like the worst experience I've had in my life, or at least one of them in recent years, at least. It was around midnight. Was on my way home. Stopped at a gas station to get gas. Pulled up to the pump. The pump was not working, and I'd already gotten out of my car. So instead of rolling my windows up, taking my keys out, turning my music off, and then going in the store, I just walked into the store, paid for my gas, got something to drink, walked outside, and my car is exiting the driveway of the gas station. And this is in like Mount Washington, kind of by Highland Park or the Dodger Stadium in LA. And I just like yelled at the guy, like ran after him. Sure enough, he just sped off. And I had everything in my car. I had my phone, my laptop, my wallet, I mean, a pair of boots, my glasses. Just there's so much freaking stuff in there that was
His life and
relatively important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he made off with it. Freaking called the cops. They came, took down whatever information, whatever description I had for him. The kid that was working at the gas station, he let us watch the video to see who it was and how they took it and all this stuff. Because when I pulled up, the place was empty. Like if I had seen some guy just sitting out there, I would have taken my keys out, rolled up my windows. But this guy was literally like hiding behind the wall, behind the bushes. And as soon as I went into the store, he like pokes his head out, walks, pokes his head in my car, looks around, hops in, and drives off. And he had his buddy with him as well. So there's two of them, but his buddy just hopped in. He didn't do anything. And then the story goes on because, like I said, my phone was in my car, and I didn't check it until several hours later because I assumed they would have been smart enough to turn the phone off, but they weren't, because when I got home and got to another laptop, I was able to track my phone, and they were in South Central. They were in like the Watts area. So I drive down there, find my car, see them sleeping in my car, and I call the cops saying like, hey, my car that I reported stolen, I found it. The guys are in it sleeping. And they're like, okay.
So you went to the car?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
And
I mean, I was so relieved and excited. I was like, yes, I found it. Okay, the cops just need to get here, take them in, and I get my car back. Car's in perfect condition, all good. But this was in South Central, and I guess the cliche is true. Every time, you see it on TV, the cops don't show up. About 20 minutes later, they drive off to switch to a new spot, because I found them on like some back street of some neighborhood. And we start following them, and I'm with my grandfather. And he's driving.
I was like, yeah, who's we?
Yeah. So me and my grandfather drove down there, and so we're following them for a couple of minutes, maybe. And my grandpa isn't CIA or anything; he's just a person, and so they are able to figure out that they're being followed almost right away. And they speed off, and we lose them. And then still, about 15 minutes later,
No cops.
we see the cops in the area. So, but that was a good 45 minutes.
Jeez.
And it was just so freaking frustrating. And like thinking about it, replaying in my head, it's like I should have told the cops like they had a gun or something, just like to elevate the situation, make them show up. Because I like thinking back on it, I could tell like the dispatch didn't even care. Like, oh yeah, nobody's dying. Like, well, maybe we'll come. Yeah. And anyway, so then they figured out to turn the phone off, because then I was no longer able to track them. So lost it. It was just so disappointing because I was just that close to getting my car back. But anyways, so it was stolen on a Friday night. Monday morning, I get a call saying they arrested the guy and recovered my car, pick it up at this tow yard in South Central. And they said that there was a pursuit. So I went online and looked up, car chase this morning. And sure enough, there was helicopter footage of it going on in South Central. And this guy was doing 100 miles per hour
I saw
with the
that.
headlights off on city streets. I mean, thankfully it was like 3 or 4 in the morning and the streets were empty,
Yeah.
relatively, because he was running red lights. The cop even stopped chasing him because I had heard this, but I never seen it. Cops will stop pursuit if it gets too dangerous.
Yeah,
And
yeah, for sure.
he freaking shook them.
And I when I saw the footage,
Yeah.
I was in shock. I was like, holy crap, he almost hit that person. Holy crap, he's going. That was insane. But you got your car back now.
Yeah, I barely have it back because the way the pursuit ended was he ran over a curb and blew out the tire, broke the axle, blew out the tire. So the car was,
that sucks, man.
incapacitated. So he hops out, runs. And in the video, I don't know if you saw this, he tries hopping a fence and his shoe gets caught and he face plants like hard. So that was really satisfying seeing. And then he like rolls over underneath the car and just like lays there for 20 minutes and the cops find him. And he was like pretending to be asleep or something.
That's crazy, man.
Idiot.
Well, you know anything about the car over there?
I mean, I guess I'm glad you got your car back.
Yeah, me
that must
too.
have been, that was brutal.
It sucked. And like I said, my car's been in the shop for 2 months because everything is on hold at the ports of LA. Every part, every piece is taking an extra 2 weeks to arrive. And it's just been a nightmare.
Julia in the chat. Oh my God, I leave everything in my car when I pump gas. So more of the story, guys, take the keys out when you go and pump gas in your car, because
and be aware of your surroundings.
Yeah,
that too. But take the keys out. Drew, you ready for yours?
I guess so. Yeah.
Yours isn't that bad.
Okay.
Yours isn't that bad. So with you, Drew, word on the street is you're a crazy sneakerhead.
A little bit, yes.
A little bit, yes.
Yeah.
A little bit, yes.
It's it's a bit of a problem.
It is. You have like what, about 1,000 pairs of shoes?
Just moved, and it was the hardest part of me moving was my shoes. I think at this point, including Vans, I have to be like 125 shoes.
That's crazy.
It's a little bit excessive. The retail value of mine, sharing things, but like it's like 10 grand, 10 to 15 grand.
Yeah,
but that's retail, and then I mean resale. What I have
it's probably triple,
it's
quadruple.
It's up.
So I got a question for you, Drew.
Yes.
If the house, God forbid it doesn't happen, but if the place, wherever your shoes are stored, let's say they're in a storage unit. They say they're in a storage unit, and the storage unit is burning down, and you could only save.
This juju is terrible right now.
3 pairs of shoes.
3 pairs.
Which 3 pairs would you save? Out of the 100.
Oh, that is so difficult.
If you guys can't see his face went pale right now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's bad juju right there. I don't even want to think of stuff like that. Like, I don't know. Probably, to be honest with you, they're going to be the more personal pairs. As you collect, in the beginning, there were the pairs that I got that are worth money and things like that. As a collector, it's cool to have the money pairs, but more or less the sentimental things, the stories you remember of how you got them, Christmas pairs that my grandma has passed recently. And there were pairs that she got me for Christmas along with my mom that at this point, I'll cherish. I don't care how much money they're worth. They're going to stay with me. So, like my Jordan 1, I'm a big Jordan 1 fan. My Jordan 1 bread toes are a big, like my grandma got me those. Those were one of my first Jordan 1, like big sneaker that I had ever got for Christmas. And so they got me that for one Christmas. Probably my Sean Wotherspoon's 97 Air Maxes. This is so difficult. I have no idea. Like, there's so many different pairs, but it's fun to collect. But I'll tell anybody that enjoys to collect, watch how much your collection can take over priorities in yourself and money and things like that. So, it's fun to collect. I'm happy to have my collection.
I'm glad you still have it, and I hope that juju doesn't go out, because if it does,
We said some random storage room.
that's insane.
I mean, I would never. There are storage places with full of sneakers, but it's a lot of money to be putting outside of your out
Yeah.
of your domain.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got Noah and Eli in the chat there saying, I'm gonna need that link of that footage. We'll go ahead. We'll make sure to put
Yeah,
that.
we'll put it in the description.
We'll definitely put that link up for our listeners to watch. Absolutely. So let's get into this, guys. Startup Cannabis. So when we got into this, what was that experience like, starting up a cannabis company or being a part of a business or a brand that was just starting? What was that like? What are some of the challenges that you guys faced in the early stages of the brand?
I'd say first of all, it was awesome, and I after being part of it, I cannot imagine going back to any normal industry, any like normal desk job or office. It just that is done for me. Like after being part of this industry, but when we started, it was 2018, 2017, November 2017. No, November 2016 is when it was voted into recreational adult use legalization. And then 2017, we had 1 year grace period, with January 1st, 2018 being the actual year of legalization and compliance and things like that. But 2017, that being the grace period, and there was no rules, it was just legal. It was so easy and so awesome, and it kind of was like how people kind of imagine it being, just smoking weed all day.
For sure.
It's just
But during that time is, and I mean, the main thing for me would be exciting, like Josh, coming out here and doing this. Everybody says the Wild Wild West. Only time that I think of Wild Wild West was when I first got here.
Mhm.
Yeah,
there, rules are getting put into place. It was incredibly exciting to be a part of that time. You're trying to set up regulations for yourself, like how you're going to operate the business, but they're also changing all of the rules as you're changing your rules. So it's a constant evolution of what you're doing, how you're doing it. And it was great to get into a business, or I guess with everybody that joined at that time, everybody had the same goal. We all wanted to win. And it was so wonderful to be a part of. You're going to struggle, you're going to have hard times, but to be around a group of people that wanted to win just like you wanted to win every day was something that when you went home, you were proud of. Like he said, I mean, I don't want to go back to, I was a mortgage banker, I was a recruiter. I could do them again. I still know how, but I mean, after doing what we did, like Josh said, there was a different type of rush to be a part of the pioneer wave of what was going on in California at that time. It's incredible.
Yeah. And so I feel the same way, right? I came from education before stepping into this field, and you're right. I guess I'm kind of going back to the educational side of things, right? With this type of podcast, right? I'm stepping kind of back into it, but it's my own way of being able to do it. But you're right. I definitely don't want to go back into any other field. It's an exciting time to be able to work within this industry. So, what about you, B? How do you feel?
Yeah, man. I can't go back. I'm at an office job now, but I get to do this too.
Yes.
So I get to meet up with you and talk about everything that's going on, and continue being like in conversation about cannabis. But before that, I was at another office job that, I'd just go. But when I switched up, beginning of the cannabis, I got to the point where I was like in the middle of everything. And so I went in, and it was like, put your head down and just work.
When you got in one of the most hectic times of the brand, when we were definitely, I think you came in during the friends and family time.
I did.
And it was definitely wild up in there. But we'll get to that part. We'll definitely get to those steps. But even before that, let's explain to the listeners, what's the difference between a licensed operator or owner versus a brand operator and owner? Because they're two different things, right?
Are you talking about the difference between a distributor versus a brand that has a distributor's license, so to speak?
I'm talking about like, so for someone that's just coming into this and are learning, like it's not like your regular industry, right? Like you can't just start a brand and then start going
Mm.
into a legal dispensary. Am I right? Or
No.
You
No?
can't. I mean, to get to, again, back to what you were saying of licensing, different types of licensing, being able to deliver it is having a license for that. That's the main thing. I mean, you can sell it to a store, but that store has to be licensed. So the store has to have a license. You have to have a distro license to be able to sell it to them. You also have to, unless you're, buying and bringing in your flower, you're going to have a cultivation license as well there. So, yes, you can have a brain baby of an idea of something that, like, I want to create this, but there's a lot of steps to get to that creation. Having dwellings, having the right licenses, having the people to run those said licenses and everything like that. Yeah.
all right. And so when you guys got started, the license was already in place.
No, it was still being processed. The application had gone in. I think the application was submitted as soon as you could submit one. And it took, I think, like over a year for anybody to get a license. For well over a year, there was hundreds of shops, delivery services, distributors, growers, just everything, the whole spectrum of licenses that were not really in any system. None of us were monitored or policed or anything. Because for some reason, I have no idea what the holdup is or what the holdup is anywhere ever. That the applications don't get processed, they don't get approved. There's a huge wait list when it's really just as simple as like saying yes or giving the green light.
It's having a dwelling and where the dwelling's at, and how. I can't imagine at this point. This was when we did it. What, like you said, 2017.
Mhm.
There was a list of licenses at that point, but at this point, the list of licenses has to be
They're in the
astronomical and
thousands,
yeah. So I mean, it's still delayed, but at that time, it was a year for us to get.
But I mean, another thing, like you said, with the dwelling, when you apply for a license, you need to own the property that you are applying to
Right.
get licensed. So one of the owners, one of our bosses, he was paying the mortgage on a warehouse for over a year. Well,
Just an empty building.
empty
Yes.
building. It was used
Yeah.
as a storage facility, but no activity could go on in there until that license came through. And there was a point where they were getting a bit desperate and trying to apply for another license in Montebello because I think they thought there was a chance that that could come through faster or better or just whatever. And I remember there was one of our coworkers, AJ, chief of staff, him and another one like wrote this 200-page like policy book, this application to submit. And because the idea is like it had to be personalized and you had to like describe your operations and how you're going to be part of the community and how you're going to be safe. And anyways, they knocked this out within like 24 hours or something like that and submitted it in hopes that we would get one license quicker than the other. But the one that, like I said, one of the owners had for over a year, his came through. And that's a story in itself. I don't know if you want to go into that one.
Well, that's just, we had multiple warehouses.
Yeah,
you had
for
to
sure.
evolve. You had to evolve through. I mean, when we and Josh first started, how I met Josh was in a room, maybe this size, that we did orders out of that room. I mean, I showed up every day and there was no order packers. There was no boxing. It was get product from a farm, put it on a shelf that we had available and get there early in the morning and set it up for the few drivers that we had. So, you went from small, that's why it was so exciting. But then, you went through stages of warehouses, inventorying items and things like that.
Yeah.
So that evolution to getting to that licensed was, like I said, wild west. At a certain point, it was.
Yeah, because when I remember when I got in with you guys, we had just moved. You guys had just moved into the larger warehouse, and I came in as a driver. Right, Drew, you were the boss. I interviewed with Drew, and I remember going into the space, and would go out on deliveries during the day, come back at night, and we'd have to spend
Build
another
orders.
4 or 5 hours building the orders for the next day, and we're spending anywhere between 10 to 12 hours a day just to get things rolling, right, and get things moving.
I mean, it makes me think there's just a story that pops up in my head of, you had to come back and do that. I remember one night, this was early, like before the taxes went on. So it's just before New Year's Eve. And we had done, maybe because everybody's trying to get it in without the taxes. They had so many orders, and we had a new guy on finances, and none of them had taxes on them because it didn't kick in until the 1st. Once it hit midnight, we were there till 3 a.m. He clicked on the taxes. So we had to stay for an extra, I think it was like, we didn't leave till like 3 a.m. getting stuff done. But yeah, those were the things that you dealt with in those.
They're at 7 in the morning.
Yeah, to deliver set orders. But yeah.
Is there anything that you guys would have done differently if we were to start a brand new company today? What's something that you do differently this time around from the first time?
That's just so many things.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have some on top.
I mean, there's a lot of things that we wanted done differently, I guess, in the first place, but we weren't the people with the money or whatever. One thing that if I owned a business, I think it was a really bad idea to have the company split in half at 2 different locations. It created a barrier and a lot of miscommunications. So yeah, I would house everybody in one building, even if they're in different rooms, whatever. And I don't know. I feel like that would have solved a lot of problems.
Yeah.
I mean,
many problems.
My main one would be not expand as quick as
Right.
In your brain, you think you need to expand faster than you truly need to expand. You need to be good at what you're good at. And I know that sounds simple, but when you find something you're good at, you don't have to go to a next SKU or a next thing. Master what you're good at. Get your costs down. Make sure you understand what you're doing with your products when it's going out, how you're mapping out releases. Because you get, in the company I'm going to say we struck gold in the time that I was there. Well, that's why it was so exciting. We hit something that was, you hit it out the park. But with that came, we need to expand. We need to do this. We need to do that. And truthfully, you just need to build a good company. You need to pay people the right thing. You need to get good people behind you. I learned quick that I was nothing without a good crew behind me. And, the other thing is, as you said, is speak up. As a manager, as you said, the people that around me that talk to me, or I tried, my best. I understand we're not the ones with the money or anything like that, but be vocal. That would be something like they got to listen to you when you band together as a team, be vocal, say things. Those are my things that I would change for sure.
Yeah.
I think that's where we go kind of like when we talk about the culture, right? It was a good culture. Like in my experience, I was able to communicate whatever I was feeling or anything that was going on. And the fact is like, you knew that you can have that out there. And the fact is like you were all working really for something, one same goal.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that was cool.
For sure. What's one of the craziest experiences you either had or had to manage through during that time? I have one in mind.
I'll go.
I have one in mind, but I want to hear yours first.
It's gotta be the same one.
Probably.
Like I alluded to earlier, with the day that we got the license at the big warehouse in the valley. Before that, we were renting a space from somebody who had a shop over in Studio City. And that was costing our boss, I think it was like 40 grand, it was 50 grand a month for a, like, I don't know, 20 foot by 20 foot cube.
A licensed
a
dwelling. Yeah.
warehouse.
Sure.
Yeah, that was it. It didn't have anything. It barely had a bathroom. No AC. Lights didn't work. So the day the license kicked in, we get a call saying, move out. Gather all the troops, get everything out of there, take it to the next warehouse. And this was at the end of the day. So like, okay. So we go to the spot that we were renting. We start loading up. We start loading the truck up. And you were in Michigan. When
I
something,
know
right?
I was up north.
Oh, you're up north. Okay, so yeah, Drew was taking care of setting up the NorCal aspect of things at the time. So we're moving out, and then the owner of that space that we were renting from shows up like in a fury and has security like kick us out. And he's like, "You guys get the hell out of here!" Blah blah blah. Threatening to call the cops, all this stuff. I'm like, okay, can't really argue with security guards. This guy's a property owner or whatever. We meet up with our boss, and he tells us, like, okay, so here's the plan. We're gonna wait. We're gonna meet back up here around midnight, and I'm going to try and convince some of the guards and one of his employees to come on our side, which was a very plausible idea because the property owner was just a huge dickhead. Like I imagine it was very easy
Yeah.
to get the people to betray him.
Right.
So that's what we did. We met up midnight, probably about 10 of us. And sure enough, he was able to talk to one of the security guards and one of the other employees that had been left there to keep an eye out. To talk to them for like 5-10 minutes, and that's all it took. And so we get in, we start unloading, and sure enough, the owner just
He
I
shows
guess
up.
he was driving past, I don't know if he was out or if he was just at home,
Yeah.
thinking about it, and he decided to take a ride and check us out. And he sees us, he freaking, does a quick U-turn, pulls up, screeches to a halt, hops out, and is just like, what the fuck, and then hops on the phone, calls the cops. And this was really
they were
upsetting.
Armed stealing.
Yeah, he called saying, I'm being robbed right now. They have guns.
Oh,
To
so
the-
did
to
the
LAPD.
cops show up there?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
the cops showed up there.
Guns
They didn't
drawn.
show up for your
Yeah.
car, but they showed up there.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fucked up.
Yeah.
Guns drawn. It wasn't
Yes.
even like just showing up. It was,
I mean, it could have been way worse. There's been so many situations here in America where
Gotta speak up to the mic.
where people get shot for less
Yeah.
than a phone call about getting robbed by people with guns. So the cops show up, guns are drawn, but I don't know. They were level-headed at least.
Yeah.
well, they
which I'm
figured out
grateful
what
for.
was going on.
Yeah.
Speaking to the level heads, and then we were able to move
Sure.
our stuff because it was our stuff and we were doing nothing wrong. So, yeah, he was.
That's crazy.
It actually
we
is
did
not.
did get put in
Yeah.
cuffs. They freaking ran all of our information, blah
Mhm.
blah blah. And
Dang.
but it was just, and it was funny because the cops even said to us, like, "Man, that guy is
Insane.
difficult." Like,
Yeah.
that's-
Could only imagine.
but still, it's frustrating. He's like, he doesn't get in trouble for calling saying he's being robbed by
You
people with
should.
guns. Like, what the hell? Like,
Right.
isn't that illegal?
Yeah.
Like,
What about you, Drew?
Mine's near the same time period.
Yeah.
It's actually not. That was scary. But me managing through something, like the hardest time was when testing went in.
Okay.
It was easily like we were using a third party distro because, as we had mentioned, there was a NorCal distro and we had to have NorCal. We had some of the best shops up north.
Yeah.
You got to figure out how to get your product up there legally at that point. And so we went with a third party distro partner. And at this time was when testing went into full regulation.
Okay.
And so for your product to be tested, it has to be tested at the distro partner. So what we had to do was
Oh.
deliver it. We had to pack it and do
Yeah.
everything and then send it up to our third party provider. And then
they had
they
to
would
test
have
it.
it tested.
Got
So
it.
then they would have to call Josh and I and let us know what the testing was.
Right.
Then on top of that, you have to label everything. Well, it's not at our warehouse. We didn't have enough hands up there, and
Yeah.
we have giant orders up there. They're, $100,000 order. It's
Right.
huge orders. I had to send 2 of my drivers up, and at this point, it's been a bit. They had to have been up there almost a month. And as you realize at this point, you try to be a good manager, but at
Right.
times, you're blind too. I mean, I'm telling these 2 drivers, you need to get things labeled. We need to sell
Yeah.
them, and you're going too slow. Come to find out, they had 60 to 100,000 items to label, and our 2 guys sat there from 7 in the morning. They were doing it round the clock for almost a month until I went up there and had to get it rearranged. So then I ended up going up for a month and having to help out them. So it was a whole almost 2 months out of my life where I was
Right.
not home and doing stuff, and you guys held the warehouse down.
That's wild. So my story, and one of the craziest things that I remember seeing. Oh was Mexico. Was Mexico.
Yeah, I think we're
That
allowed to
one-
talk about it now. Yeah.
That one was the wildest one, I think. Is we had our drivers cross the border for whatever reason, accident or not. That shit was wild.
What, you think it could have not been an accident?
Oh, it was an accident.
It was an
I don't
accident.
even want to talk about
No, I
it.
think
Like,
it was an
forgot about
accident,
it,
but
I don't even-
just the thought of that happening, right?
Okay,
And
okay.
and
it's one of the scariest moments. Of
and
my life.
having to navigate that,
Mhm.
like how I remember getting that phone call, and at that point, like I'm already like at management level,
Mhm.
and I'm just like, fuck, how do we what do I need to go out there? 'Cause I remember I was at the time we were already short staffed. I was in the
Mhm.
middle of making deliveries and sending emails out. Like I remember at one point I would go out, make the deliveries, pull over to the side, send emails out, do all these different things, and then I get the phone call. I'm like, fuck. All right. I remember calling at home, like, yo, give me my passport. I gotta go to Mexico. We gotta get ready to go. So I think that that experience was one of the wildest ones.
Well, and
that
it's
I-
things that you don't even think to plan for.
Yeah.
That's and every one of these scenarios is something that, you know, why don't you tell someone to do that? Like, why not to do that? Well, you know, you didn't think that you had
Needed to.
tell
Yeah.
someone.
So for listeners, if you guys are in the industry, you guys are management, you guys handle logistics, and you guys are delivering in San Diego or near the border,
I mean,
tell your
there's
guys to
signs.
stop.
If you're delivering to
Read the
Ramona
signs.
CC,
If you're delivering near the border, read the signs, don't cross, and pull over.
True.
Over.
Call the AAA.
Yeah.
Get AAA to tow your ass back because
yeah.
don't cross that fucking border.
If you miss that
Pull the
exit,
spark plug on your truck and
Exactly.
stand outside.
If you miss the exit, wait, pull over, get out of the car.
Like I said,
Something.
Google how to pull the spark plug, pull it, sit before the border, and then call AAA. There's my advice to anybody.
That shit was insane.
and the
man.
frustrating part is he was familiar with Mexico. He used to go to Mexico all the time. So he must have been familiar with the border and
There
how it
were there were
operates,
signs.
and, like,
But still, just
and he thought,
There
oh
were
yeah, I'll just
multiple
tell him I
signs.
accidentally missed the exit. I'll just
He
turn
thought it was
around.
the weekend.
Yeah.
That's
It
what
was.
it was.
There were multiple signs, like 6 or 7.
Oh, did you go down there and count? Or we had
No,
somebody
we had
count,
someone
right?
count.
Oh,
Count how many signs there are saying last exit, last US exit.
oh man. B, you got any questions?
no, not right now.
So if you guys had some advice to give to someone that's looking to get into the industry, what's one piece of advice that you would give to someone that's looking to get in?
I don't know if this is advice, but one thing I wanted to add, one of the biggest difficulties throughout the 4 years we were involved was labeling and label compliance and what needs to be on the label and what can't be on the label.
What needs to be on the label?
What needs to be on the label?
Just brief.
Manufacturer information, distributor information, date of production, date of testing, California Prop 65 warning, exact phrases and wording, net weight, testing results, THC content, cannabinoid content rather, the name of it. That covers it. Did I miss anything?
For the most part, I mean,
Right.
for the most
You need
part.
this California
This
cannabis.
isn't a
symbol,
job interview,
right? Yeah.
So I mean, you
But
don't have to
again,
give
there's
me
20
the
there's 20 points of information that needs to be part of it, and if something is missing, most likely a shop is going to see it and reject it.
Yeah.
So-
Or even missing a man. Ooh. Even if you typo, right? Because
Yeah.
I remember that one time when we label. I don't know. I don't know
Oh
if B
my
was a
God.
part of there. I don't know if B was a part of the team at the time, but I remember I printed up labels for, I don't know, it was like 20, 30,000 singles. And
Spelled.
there was, I think it was either a misspell or I put a 0 before the 1 or a 1
Yeah.
before the 0.
I was super happy, I assume, on this moment when this happened.
We might
I'm
have
sure.
fixed it with
You
that,
didn't know.
Oh, I
Don't
didn't
tell
know.
Drew.
That's
Don't tell
fun.
Drew.
Yo, you didn't know until it was fixed.
Okay.
Yeah.
cool.
Oh, Drew.
Yes.
There
Oh,
was
by
a
the way, we
mess up.
wasted 30,000
Yeah.
labels.
Because I remember now we found out from the shop still took it, but then when the label crew ended up coming in on a Saturday to relabel everything.
Oh yeah.
And then
Shout out my label team. Thank you.
that's right. Shout out label crew. And but these things too. These are the small things that if you're just getting into the business, you're just starting off, and we brought up capital earlier. These are these small things that cost a lot of money, and luckily for us, we like the company itself had the revenue to be able to afford to
Yes.
pay that. But for smaller brands and smaller companies,
Yeah.
this small mistake can cost thousands of dollars for a brand that's just starting off. And it's shit like this, and like you gotta like really be careful before you move forward with next steps.
And it
But-
falls in line with what Drew was saying: is learn to walk before you try and run. you
Yes.
know? Just we had like 1,000 frustrated customers when what we should have had was like 100 very happy, satisfied customers.
Yeah,
Anybody
I
trying
would
to get
very
in
much
from you,
recommend that.
tell anybody to be a sponge.
Mhm.
And I know that's said everywhere, but truly be a sponge. When I came out here, as I had a different situation where I'm moving across state, I had to learn. But when you get to a company, some of those people that you meet, you may not want to be best friends, things of that nature. But if you want to be in this industry, there is a wealth of knowledge inside of a warehouse, inside of the sales, inside of anywhere. I have people that, I got 4 years under my belt, and what we did in that 4 years was incredible. But I also know people that have been in this for 15 years that truly built a way into this, that when you sit and listen to them, people get shocked. Like B said, people get shocked by what we know because it's just stories. But when you've been in it for 15 years and you can work with those people and understand their love for said product, being a sponge and there's a thing out there that's 10 things that take no skill at all: being on time, having a good attitude, being ready for work, being helpful. I don't know all of them, but if you look it up, but that would be what I gravitated towards the people that were vocal, that worked hard and wanted to be there. It was easy to see people that wanted to and didn't want to be there.
And we definitely saw that when, and you brought it up earlier, when the whole moving too fast, scaling too fast. At one point, we blew up so fast that we were just taking anyone and everyone, and that
The worst
was
thing
a
we did.
detriment to the
Yeah.
company as well, because we weren't properly training anyone.
Mhm.
But it's also knowing in there, like you said, it's knowing what you're working on. When you're bringing in that many people, when I look back at that time, we were working on so many things at once because it was all hitting us at once. That's where you needed to be, that like know what you were good at. And when you're bringing in people, like you said, it's got to be in a 5 people, give them right training, because if they're getting tossed in, you're not even setting up your own employees for success. Yeah, they get tossed in. Yeah, like you said, you came in at the crazy time, so it's trial by fire by a lot of people that worked, and you feel bad because they're a bad employee. They're not. They just got tossed into a time that they didn't have the right tools to be able to be good at their job, and
I think
we
there was
didn't
some
have
bad
time
employees.
at that time to really, I guess, do that.
And it was going so fast because when you did come in, hey, was it around that time we had like 50 label, like we had a 50 label.
It was
crew,
52.
Oh, yeah.
52 label crew team, and it was always just nonstop.
Yeah.
How was that for you, B? Like, what was that experience like for you? I know we got a few more minutes left.
Yeah, and
But what was that like?
it was tough. It was really tough. I'm used to being able to just concentrate and try and learn as much as I can. I really enjoy. I think I like the process. To me, I enjoy the process.
Mhm.
And so when you're thrown into something and not no one to communicate with, it's like, man, like, all right, I'll just do this one thing, and then you start trying to give ideas out there, and that's really how I came about, like trying to give ideas, like, look, this system that you have is not working, like, let's switch it up. And so, we kept switching and trying to find a better system how to do everything, but it was tough.
Yeah.
Because you also have a whole bunch of different characters, like
Yeah, we did.
you put in one room between 3 long tables, 50 different characters. It's a lot to
Yeah.
handle.
And I think at the time too, we were just thinking like, all we need is just these labels and just put a fucking sticker on and call it a day. But when we and now hindsight, like obviously, like we think like fuck, we fucked up there, but in the moment we were just thinking like we gotta go,
Yeah, that was
put
the
the fucking
attitude.
label on and let's move.
But that's where part of that speaking up,
Yeah.
like like you're saying, like me, Josh, Danny, we were all working on our own separate projects, moving so fast that not knowing that small part of the system that people were on label building. Sometimes we didn't think of that stuff. Yeah, we were there, we were helping out, but to hear that voice that was like, listen, you're losing this. And there was a great piece that someone told me when I entered this business is when you present a problem, present a solution as well.
Yeah.
It's something that I've hung on to. Is one of the first things said to me when I came out here. And if you can teach your entire crew to not come to you with problems and come to you with solutions to said problems, conversations become a lot more transparent and a lot easier to handle.
Yeah.
And so it's a great thing to be able to see that, and then also have a management crew that would listen to said employees to, make those corrections.
Yeah, definitely. I think I was switching up a whole bunch of things on Danny in the packing team.
Well, not just you, but a bunch of other folks. And I was always open to listening to any suggestion we had, just because at the end of the day, like I was taking on so many other tasks that like y'all were doing you guys were doing the work. So if it was gonna help you out, then fuck it, let's run with it. Let's see if it works. And if it doesn't, then cool, let's move on to the next suggestion and make things right. But
and shout out to Joe for running a 50-person, 60-person label crew.
Yeah.
That's right.
With that many personalities.
Yeah, you know what? I don't think somebody else could have handled that the way Joe did. That was a lot.
But it comes down to when you look at it too, as you say that, Joe was great for the fact of organization and structure. In that time, a lot of people don't want to hear your organization or structure, but after 2 to 3 weeks of hearing it over and over and over again, it almost becomes repetition. Like I'm not going to hear it if I just do it. So it really implemented something in that team.
Yeah, we got a comment over there. Lotus Hustle Life. What up, said crew? Y'all got a job for me?
Well, we're trying to set that up. Well, we're gonna set that up. Just be ready. Be ready, and we got you. Eventually, hopefully. Is there anything that we missed? Any questions that you think we should have asked?
I was just thinking of a piece of advice for anybody thinking about getting into the legal market. My own personal opinion, the best you could do for yourself, the most bang for your buck you could get, is getting a micro business license, which allows you to distribute, cultivate, and sell all within yourself, all within under the umbrella of your licensing. So you don't have to rely on a third-party distributor, a shop, anything like that. You can really create your own brand and do it all yourself. Technically, it's just how I would have gone. Being able to do everything in-house. And like I said, the most bang for your buck. You get 3 licenses under one, but you are capped revenue-wise. I forget the exact figure, but you can't be like a massive brand with a micro business licensing.
Okay.
Mine for you is just, it's more or less what you guys are doing right now. Anybody that wants to get into the industry, education, listening to what's going on in the industry, not just here, in different states. There's YouTube videos, there's websites now, there's things that you can just dive into and talk. There's there's different
radio
forums.
show. There's a radio show on
podcast,
Latinx. I don't know.
But that would be mine. It's just, as I say, it goes along with Sponge, but it's what you guys are doing. Put the education out there. Be, if you want to be in this industry, you can. Put it that way. Like if you just want to put the time in to understand it and be here, you can. I'd gladly work with people.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking for people. I mean, we're looking for folks, interns, that can help us here in the studio. That's a form of the cannabis industry. If anyone's out there listening, y'all want to come out and help, hit us up on the DM,
Yeah, definitely. And for those who are just, beginner level or just looking for a job, really, I honestly think that if you get into the cannabis industry, even starting at, base level position, you learn a lot. And wherever you go, you take that with you.
Yeah, for sure.
One last thing that I'd say for any manager, thing I learned here, and I hope I did it with my team. You know, it's not about the job you're at. It's about making people better forward in life. Yes, you got to make money. Yes, you got to make the company better. But the way to keep the culture and the morale is that. So I just wanted to give, you know, that to managers that, you know, take care of your people and listen, I guess.
Yeah.
You know,
And I think you did that very well, Drew.
Yeah.
I
Real
hope,
shit.
I mean, it's
Real stuff. And I know that like there may be folks out there like, oh, you know, you did as much as you could with what you had and what you were able to do. But real shit, thank you for all the shit you've done, at least for me personally. You too, Josh, and just really
Thank you,
educating
guys.
me and putting me up on game and giving me the opportunity to like step up and put myself where I'm at now. Because if I wouldn't be where I'm at now without having the mentorship and knowledge and conversations with you guys. So real shit with you guys, without you guys, like, you know, I wouldn't even be here right now. So
Yeah.
thank you guys for,
Well,
for
that's
all the
where-
shit y'all done.
Yeah. For
Likewise,
sure.
I don't think there's anybody else that we had that could have done what you guys did.
Yeah.
Like really, there was nobody
Yeah.
else that I could have seen.
But that's where
stepping up
that
to the
culture
plate in
came
that way.
from. We built it with
Yeah.
everybody being a part of it. Listen, I couldn't have, I was nothing. Everybody looked, oh, Drew's manager, he's been here forever. Josh has been here forever.
Mhm.
We were nothing without you two sitting here or the rest of the team doing their job. And you lose that in somewhere in the job that you think that you're just doing something. But I couldn't do my job without everybody else.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. All that knowledge definitely trickles down,
right.
you know. So
Yeah.
definitely appreciate it.
Any last thoughts, words, B? What you got?
Man, you really like putting me on the spot.
B, you're here every Monday, B.
It is our second Monday, but I mean, you know, thank you for coming out. You know, we at least for myself, I didn't get to see you guys, you know, at the end of everything, but definitely, you
Yeah, that
guys,
was good to see.
you know, wherever I go, I will definitely remember everything that went on.
Thank you. Thank you for
Yeah.
the invite. I'm very pleased to be back. Like you said, I didn't get to have the goodbye to everybody. So it's very nice to come back and reminisce about the good times and the good people that we
Yeah.
had there.
I hope this is okay to throw out there. I just want to say, if anybody has any like technical questions about the industry, I don't know if you want to just put it in the comments, and I'll come back to the page and take a look and see if I can answer them for you.
There you go.
There you
yeah,
go.
absolutely. If you guys got
Just
questions,
like anything metric.
Josh
trying to
is
think
like the wizard, man. Like this guy knows it all, and I always love talking to this guy about everything and anything. Because if he doesn't know, he'll look it up and he'll come back to you like the next day with, "Yo, I looked this up. This is what I got."
Yeah, Josh is that lifeline.
Yeah,
I read the entire legal document and I understand it all.
yeah, it's crazy. It was insane, but absolutely. But to all our listeners out there, thank you guys for tuning in. He sounds like Adam Carolla. Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, sexual frequency intern also. Yeah, absolutely, for sure. We need a part 2 with these guys. Yeah, we do. I feel like
Yeah.
we could have gone through so much more, and we,
Oh,
we
absolutely.
didn't get into it. So we'll definitely have you guys back for a part 2. But again, for all the listeners out there, thank you guys for tuning in. We're here live. We record live every Monday at 4:20 p.m. here at the TGN Latinx station. And you can listen to us through the Good News Radio app and here on YouTube through the TGN Latinx channel or the Said Connects channel. Make sure you follow us on at said_connects. That's CED_connects on Instagram. You can see it here on Instagram, and I'm sorry, on YouTube. Another shout out to our social equity sponsors, Seventh Wave with 4Gs. We got Joyous 420 with Fuego 415 and the Fizz. And shout out to Bianca Star Agency, which is another social equity sponsorship. And she's actually going to be teaching a class for the San Francisco City College. They're offering some courses, some cannabis courses up there in the Bay. And she's going to be leading one of those classes out there. So shout out to Bianca with that. Again, thank you two guys for coming out, spending your Monday. It's rainy Monday, but I love this weather. And again, last, thank you guys. Thank all the listeners.
Yeah, make sure to tune in next Monday,
Yeah.
420.
Next Monday, 420. It's gonna be B and I. We're gonna be talking. We have a Dia de los Muertos special that we're gonna be talking about next Monday. So make sure to tune in next Monday again at 4:20 p.m. And with that being said, we'll see you guys next week.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
And YouTube always gets that special behind the scenes while we finish.
Yeah.
It's the first. Yeah, which is Monday.